Hello and welcome to this episode of Small Business Small Talk. I'm your host, Christy Smallwood, and I am the Chief Strategic Guide of Eagle Eye Strategies based in Louisville, Kentucky. You are joining us on this latest episode of Small Business Small Talk, and we're on location today. So for those of you who are watching via YouTube or the Facebook channel, and you can actually see us, not just hear us, you are going to get a special treat that I'm going to load in some tour video while we're talking. So this will be a special edit version of Small Business Small Talk. And my guest today also comes from our sponsor, the Chamber of St. Matthews. So our sponsor partner, the Chamber of St. Matthews, has a lot of great people in it. If you aren't connecting, you are missing out. If you are not a member of the Chamber, you are missing out. You need to be a part of your local chamber, and if you aren't, you can join ours because we are so fun and vibrant and very active. So with that, let's get right to it because, again, I'm excited. I'm on location today, and we're pretty socially distanced, as you can see. We're going to do the non-mask thing because, you know, she's way over there, she's way back there. I can't even touch her. So with that, I do want to welcome in my guest today, and you know what? I totally just blanked on your name.
That's okay. You wouldn't say it as good as me anyway. Janna Holland.
I like you. And
Megan Jones.
And Megan Jones. And we are at River's Edge. Is it events?
Events.
Okay,
Yes.
River's Edge Events. And you're based in
Shepherdsville.
So here's the thing. Whenever I slow down like that, I'm like, am I on 65 or 64? So if you know anything about the geography of Kentucky and outside of Louisville, I get the two because they start the same. Shepherdsville, Shelbyville. So Shepherdsville here, right off 65. It's very easy to get to. Although I will have to say, on my way here, I got a little distracted by the stupid stuff on the radio, and I missed my turn. So I was like, oh, that was that. Okay, stop listening to the crap on the news. I need to listen to good stuff, like Small Business Small Talk podcast. Just make a note of that. So, Janna, Megan, okay, so we have two here. Who wants to start first? I want to know backstories because we might be in an event space, which is fantastic. But how did you guys even get to here? So I want to know more about you and how you got started with all this.
Getting into the event industry just kind of fell in my lap, literally. I worked for a company. I did all their HR and payroll, catering quotes, and the owner of that company decided to open a wedding venue. And she took me on a field trip one day, and we went and looked at this great big empty building, and she said, I'm going to turn this into a wedding venue. And I was like, oh my gosh, that sounds like so much fun. Who's going to run it? And she was like, oh, you are. And I was like, I don't know anything about events. And she was like, you'll figure it out. And so that was in 2011. We're now in 2020, and I have figured it out.
Nothing like getting just throw in there so you can see
straight
it
in.
and swim. So what about you?
So me and my husband found ourselves at weddings throughout our lifetime, and we would see people just floundering. They didn't know what they were doing. We'd be there as guests. All of a sudden we were at the back door lining up the bridal party, bringing them in. And from there I was like, you know, we've been doing this for a few years. Maybe this is like a real business. So we started looking into it. We both got ordained. So then we started officiating weddings, and then we were coordinating as a team, and then we started raising white doves, and we added that element of a white dove release in.
Wow.
Yeah, very cool. It's a beautiful thing. If you've never seen one, it is truly breathtaking to see a white dove release.
I've only seen them on TV.
Yeah, well, in person, they're
it's
super
way better.
cool. So we started doing that, and that led us into the funeral industry, doing releases for funerals, but also with weddings at the Unity celebration. The dove releases are quite beautiful because there's so many beautiful things about them. They pair for life. They fly together. If you could teach a young couple to do that, they would have a successful marriage. So it just kind of started there, and then I hooked in with River's Edge a few years ago, just by chance. I stopped in at their venue that they had just opened and started sharing ideas because I was excited. I really wanted to start making a business of what I knew with my knowledge. And they were very responsive to me. I started officiating for them at times, and then fast forward to now, came to this building, presented them with my idea, which, you know, we can talk more about later, but Pop Goes the Wedding at River's Edge, and that's how I rooted it down here.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so explain River's Edge. What is it?
So we are a venue that sits on 10 acres of land in the middle of Shelbyville.
You have to lean in while the ice maker's going.
Yeah.
Right? That's the ice maker.
Yeah, that is the
That's
ice
right.
It is. In Shepherdsville, we can seat up to 200 guests. We do weddings, we do vow renewals, we do celebration of life services, we do birthday parties, baby showers, any event that you can think of that you would invite people to your home for, you can do here. And the upside is we clean everything before you come, we set everything up, we tear everything down, and we clean everything when you leave. So you come in and you have a good time, and then you go home. We also
And then you have all the stuff.
And we have all the stuff. We have lots of stuff. We have a full rental department. So let's say you are, especially with COVID, doing something in your backyard and you need some tables and some chairs and you would like to have a few centerpieces. We have all of those available that you can come in and rent and take to your location or take to a different venue. There's lots of venues in Louisville that only provide you with tables and chairs and nothing pretty. So we can take the pretty there and set it up, tear it down, bring it back.
I mean, I'm looking around the room now and I see a very pretty setup, and I know that this is a simple basic, like
Yes.
This is just to give you a little color, a little splash of this, and it makes, you know, but even so, like if you just did this is still gorgeous. And I'm like, it's turnkey, so it would be super easy. Like, absolutely. So, okay, pre-COVID situations, what can you do with this? Like, how many people can I get in here?
200 to 225.
Okay. And so with COVID restrictions, though, that knocks you down to what?
125.
125. Okay. So let's talk COVID for a second. Oh, wait, you have outside stuff, too. So on the way in, it's fall, and they have a beautiful setup outside. I saw the pumpkins and and that's a tractor, the bed. Like, yeah, I'll throw some pictures up of that because it's so pretty. Even though it's a cloudy day, it was still very pretty out there. So I was excited to pull into some decorations. So you guys definitely do it well around here. Yeah, like you didn't give up during COVID. So,
No,
Right.
no.
And speaking of not giving up, so I want to hear, now it's time for the idea. It's Janna, right?
Yeah.
Not Janet.
Janna.
Janna.
It's much more dramatic that way.
Janna. I love it. Sorry, I'm not playing fun. I'm
It's
just
okay.
having a good time. Okay, so yes, let's talk about this whole not giving up, figuring out what you can do.
Sure.
Pop Goes the Wedding.
Pop Goes the Wedding, because we're trending because we want to trend in smaller weddings, or we're having to because of the CDC rules. Either way, small weddings are trending. So with Pop Goes the Wedding, it is an all-inclusive package that gives a bride up to 100 people, and ultimately now most brides are really dialing down to about 50. But you have the opportunity to have up to 100 people for your pop-up. You get the venue for 4 hours. You get everything you need. Like, you could literally walk in, bring nothing. Your officiant's here, your DJ's here, your cake and cupcakes are here, your decor is here, and your day of coordinator. So you have nothing to worry about, and you get a great price point. We're partnered with Shack in the Back, so you have great food at a wonderful price point with them as well. And again, you walk in, you enjoy, you walk out, we clean up. So it's just an all-inclusive deal for a bride that couldn't afford something that was much more expensive.
So as a bride, though, do I still get to pick out pictures? Now, I'm not a bride, let me just say. But if I were, would I still get to pick out colors and fancy stuff?
Absolutely. You still get to pick out. We have in-stock centerpieces you choose from. You get to pick out your sashes, the different colors. You get your linens, your chair covers. So you get the whole feel of planning a wedding with your day of coordinator, and you get that grand feeling in a very grand place without paying that high dollar price.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's grand to keep some money in the bank.
Absolutely.
For like
Absolutely.
a vacation or,
Or the LG&E.
LG&E. Yeah, whatever.
Something. Yeah.
Pizza.
For sure. Yeah.
So, okay, tell me some things that you guys really enjoy about what you're doing. Like, because let's face it, brides, and not just brides, but mother of brides.
Sometimes fathers of brides.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes.
So, okay, let's start with what do you guys enjoy most about it?
Megan?
I think for me, when we meet our brides and they come in and they take a tour, and then they go home and they think about things, and then they come back and they sign a contract. So you, right there, right off the bat, you've spent possibly 2 to 3 hours with this couple. And then 6 months down the road, they come in and they pick out their decorations and their linens and how they want things set up. So then there's another hour you've spent with them. And by the time they have finished their journey with us, they're family. We're friends on Facebook. We see them have children on Facebook. They come back and do gender reveals. They come back and do first birthday parties. They come back and do vow renewals. You grow with them through a very important piece of the beginning of their journey together.
Yeah.
It's not a paper transaction. You get to know these people. You get to love them. You get to meet their family. You get to know things about them that other people may never know.
You get to cry with them. We actually did a celebration of life for a family that the grandmother died. And so we were there to celebrate and see all the happy, but then we were here to love on them and cry with them at that celebration of life. So it was a full circle moment. It was beautiful.
You guys really do get to be able to be there in the big moments.
Oh, absolutely.
And to have a support system built in.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'm paying you a fee to use the space, but it's not just that. It's you guys will provide that emotional support system while we're at it.
Absolutely.
Which honestly, in your all's industry, that kind of sets you apart.
It truly does. It truly does. With my pop-up brides, when I get a pop-up planned and I get started with them, they have my personal cell number. I may get a text at 1 o'clock in the morning that a bride just needs to be talked down off the wall. I mean, she's having a meltdown. My husband's woken up many times saying, who are you texting? I'm like, it's one of my brides, go back to sleep. You have that relationship with them. They have access to me that way because I care about them. And, just backstory a little bit, what really prompted the Pop Goes the Wedding in my heart is because I grew up in a dysfunctional family, didn't have a mom and dad that helped me plan a wedding.
Yeah.
And not every bride has this big pocketbook to plan a wedding, and I kind of take on that role of a mom with my brides, and it becomes very personal to me to make sure that they're a princess for the day, and they don't have to have this gigantic pocketbook to make that happen. It's just a good feeling.
Okay, so I know a lot of my strong women business friends are like, yeah, whatever. But isn't every woman really wants to be a princess for the day?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Even the ones that come in and say, oh, I'm just doing this for my family.
Right.
This isn't what I want to do. By the time the day gets here, this is what they want.
They are
to do.
Cinderella all the way. They have bought into it, hook, line, and sinker. They love it.
Well, it gives you at least one chance in your life to dress up in a pretty dress and have somebody else fix your hair, maybe a little glitter, who knows?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a big deal. We did talk about what you enjoy with the pop-ups, and we talked about that. What are some challenges you guys have had to overcome? Let's go ahead and talk about the big one this year.
So COVID has by far been the biggest challenge in all the years of us being open that we had to overcome, because when the city got shut down, we had weddings planned. We were in wedding season. So calling a bride on a Tuesday and saying, oh, you were planning on getting married Saturday and now you're not, was never anything that either of us have been trained to do. We are trained to make people happy. We are trained to help them start their journey of a married couple and grow their family. We are not trained to call them and say, oh, you're going to have to wear a mask. Oh, I'm going to have to take your temperature. Oh, you can only have this many guests. Oh, you can't do this. You can't do fondue pots. You can't do candy bars anymore. There's so many things you can't do. But we moved, I think the last count was right at 70 events due to COVID. But at the end of the day, all of those events are still happy with the decisions that they've made to book with us.
Oh, that's great.
Absolutely.
So there is still that relief knowing that you're still doing what you're here to do and what you enjoy doing, even though it's not the way that you plan on doing it. Lots of brides now have all of our cell phone numbers and call us, you know, especially during that March, April, May, when things were changing daily.
Oh, yeah, that was a mess.
It was a huge mess.
Yeah.
And through that process, there were times where we couldn't have things here just because we would have been shut down. But we had Janna. And so if Janna needed to go to somebody's backyard so that they still got that wedding date that they wanted, Janna went to their backyard.
So you guys were able to very quickly go, okay, no, we can actually bring this experience to you.
Actually, would just go and marry the couple in their backyard with their immediate family there, because that date was important, like Megan said.
Yeah.
And, you know, and then they came back here 6 months later, and they celebrated with us in a reception, and we redid the ceremony in front of their friends and family. So it's been challenging to watch watch the tears and see how people have had to overcome this, but overcome they did.
Yeah, that would not be, I would not want to be in that situation of basically telling especially a young couple, right, first time couple.
Yes.
And she's
and lots of those. We've lots of those.
And they've been thinking about, like that girl has been thinking about this day for years before the guy even showed up.
Yeah.
She's been thinking about it, and you had to call and say, yeah, your dream's canceled. Sorry. What?
Yeah.
How do you even do that?
The March and April brides were the hardest because it was new to everybody.
Yeah.
The pandemic was new. Not that the May, June, July brides were easier, because they still weren't. You're still telling them they can't do what they dreamed of doing. They can. They just can't do it then. They have to do it later. We had one bride, we rescheduled her 3 times.
Oh, wow.
Because of COVID. And you talk about phone calls that you don't want to make. The first phone call of saying you can't do it was really bad. The second phone call was almost worse, because you go from March to thinking surely all this is going to blow over and we're going to be back to normal by July, and we're not.
We're not.
That was almost, I think, harder than the first blow, was telling them they couldn't do it for a second time. But now they got married in August, and they got the day that they wanted, and everything worked out perfect, and they were happy at the end of the day.
Which is awesome. And it sounds like what is decidedly different about you guys, the emotional support aspect, is what has made you successful through COVID. Now, mind you, I'm sure you've lost a lot of revenue because you're an event industry business.
Yes. Right.
Event industry has lost their ass.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but the fact that you guys have been able to make those shifts for others, not just to bring in more income, but to help that princess have a perfect day.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
So any insights, Janna, on like challenges to overcome? Like, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, every wedding is a challenge. It truly is. And I think if you approach it as a challenge that you can overcome, and you make that bride and groom and that family know that this is not an obstacle truly, it's just something that's in the path that we are going to correct. And that is I guess that's my personality, is I don't want my bride and groom to stress over anything. So during COVID, it was extremely challenging, but at the end of the day, we're going to make things work. It's doable. It's a different fairy tale than you dreamed. It's a different chapter, but guess what? Every chapter can be different in a book and still have the best ending ever.
Absolutely.
So, we just approach it like that. Challenges are just always going to be there. They just are. So.
Yeah, we talked about that in our green room here, how handling challenges and adversity makes us better. And sometimes we have to go through really hard things for a new incredible thing to show up in the world. Like, we need to go through that kind of adversity to.
Yeah. And do you know, really, I feel like my couples have started coming about back around to the truth of what a wedding really is. I've had couples in the past that they were like, yeah, I don't really care about the ceremony. Just do whatever, and we just can't wait to get the reception. We've got a bar. But now what I'm seeing is couples truly savoring that ceremony.
Really?
Oh, and it's beautiful. It makes me want to cry because they're so engaged in it. Nobody's talking about getting to the reception now. It's like, I want that moment to look at my partner. I want that moment to look in their eyes and have this incredible ceremony. So if anything, I think it's taught us that truly is the meat of why we're here. That ceremony, that moment together. The reception's fun, but at the end of the day, what you're going to remember on your 25th anniversary is the look in their eye when you were standing across from them. And that's it.
So my best friend got married to her now hubby in 17, and I was maid of honor. And I remembered last second, I asked somebody, not the normal photographer because she was so busy, but just in case she would forget this moment, I was like, you have got to get a picture. I told another friend of mine, I said, you've got to get a picture of Mike's face when she walks down the aisle.
Absolutely.
Like, I don't care what she's got on.
Right.
I want to see his face because that is for her.
Yeah.
Because she ain't paying attention to what everything's going. She's just trying to make it down the aisle without falling.
Yes, that's true.
And so just having, I think that I've seen a handful of those kind of pictures, and I'm like, that's what breaks me more than anything is to see a guy be emotional.
Oh yeah.
About what's
for sure.
You know, like that's the love moment right there.
Yes.
That's believable to me. That moment is believable to me. So okay, let's get to some fun stuff. Because, y'all, again, brides, mother of brides, father of brides, what's some fun moments that you guys remember?
Depends on what you consider fun.
Yeah.
I've had to referee stepmoms, dads, grandparents, keep them apart, keep them coming in at different times. I mean, it's a whole thing. WWF has nothing on some of these families. I'm telling you, it can get pretty crazy.
When they send you pictures of family members and an
like,
email.
Literally you're studying their picture like, oh my God, I hope I recognize it. Yeah, for sure. All the time.
Now I've heard stories from my DJ friends of, different things happening. And I think, Roy Harrison.
Oh, yeah.
So I think there was a time he told me a story, or he told the group a story about, it was out in the country and somebody rode the horse in at the reception. Yeah, those kind of stories are fun too.
Yeah.
I've done a coordination for a couple of different weddings when Eventualities was handling those, and one girl had the dogs were the ring bearers, right? The flower girl and the ring bearer, and one dog decided, I don't want to go down the aisle.
Yeah.
And we were like, why is this dog not go? Like the boy dog is like, look, I got a tie on, and he just walks down the aisle, not a problem. But the girl dog, the female, she just would not leave her mom, and it just was, it was precious, and at the same time as as the coordinator,
it's frustrating for us. But honestly, it creates a moment for them and a memory, and people love dysfunction at a wedding. They do. They love the kid that runs down the aisle screaming and crying. They're, oh, it's so cute. And the mom's, yeah. So I mean, those moments create some really good memories for the wedding.
Every wedding has one.
Yeah.
And it may not be during the ceremony. It may be that the ceremony was supposed to start at 4 o'clock, and at 4:30, the maid of honor is still not here.
Yeah,
It may be that family members. I mean, again, family members are a big key into throwing us for a loop, because when you have, it's 2020. There's lots of divorce. There's lots of new marriages. There's lots of step parents and step siblings that cause lots of drama throughout.
This ain't just a blending of, it's a melting pot.
And nobody really, when you think about it, it's almost sad. It really is sad, because at the end of the day, you have these battles and they want to resolve them at a wedding. Just don't look at anybody. Don't talk to anybody. This is their day.
Social distance.
Right. Even if it's not required, do it. You know, wear earplugs and a mask on your eyes. We don't want you looking at anybody that might tick you off. But people won't do it, even for a day. They can't be nice. It's crazy.
I think one of my favorite mishaps, it was not at this location. We were at another location for several years, and then we purchased this location. One of the bridesmaids did not try her dress on before the day of the wedding.
What? Not good.
And she could not get the zipper up, and she didn't want the bride to know. So she comes into my office, and she's like, I need you to help me get in this dress. And so myself and one of the other employees were trying to get her in this dress. We see a groomsman. We're like, come here. He's pulling up the zipper. It explodes.
Sure.
Right.
Like, it just explodes. The whole back of the dress explodes. We're like, what are we going to do now?
No.
The zipper's broken. So that particular bride had runners on the tables. So I went to the back and I steamed a table runner, and she wore it as a shawl so that it covered the back of her dress.
That's so like super resourceful. Like high five for that.
Yes.
Good.
It's thinking on.
Yes.
It's being on your toes at all times and not knowing what's going to happen. It's when a father of the bride says when the door opens, it's fall, the leaves are falling, the wind is blowing, and leaves are on the carport, and I don't want leaves on the carport. So it's going and getting a broom and dustpan.
Right.
Dope.
And
you're outside
stand there for 3 hours sweeping up leaves because they don't want leaves.
I'm sorry, that is not acceptable.
But that's just what you do. That's what we do. It might not be what everybody does. It's what we do.
That's right.
We just do whatever we need to do.
I'm just going to say it. I'm not made for this kind of business. I would not have done that.
And you know what? You'll get here and it'll be real frustrating, and in your mind you're going, I hate people. I really do. I hate people. And then you pull out and you're like, that was the best night ever. I can't wait till next weekend. I'm like, I really need to be on medicine. There's 2 or 3 people inside me right now. But you do. You hate it and love it. It's just that type of business. Yeah, for sure.
It's kind of. I always remember my band director saying the same thing at the end of marching season. By the end of marching season, I'll never do this again. And then, like, not even a week. It didn't even take a week. Look at this show for next year.
Absolutely. Same. It's the same. It's the same.
So, okay. So, what are some of the most precious moments you've seen? Like things that have even like touched you big time.
One of the most amazing moments was at the celebration of life. I mean, I could cry telling you about it. This man, it was the grandmother to one of our brides, and this man loved her so well, and she was so frail with cancer. And she, I mean, if you saw her pictures, movie star, just gorgeous woman that had just really just disintegrated into just this little nothing frail woman, just so sweet. And he treated her like she was Miss America. And he looked at her like she was Miss America. And he was attentive to her that whole night. It broke me. Because truly that was love and action. That was marriage times 10. That was just the most beautiful moment I've ever seen. Just beautiful.
He called me and said, I need to do a celebration of life. And this was a different celebration of life because this was before she passed away. She wanted a party to celebrate her life.
See, and I was curious, but I didn't know how to ask the question because, and let's clarify for a quick second. So let's hit the pause I want to hear the rest of the story. But just to clarify, a celebration of life does not necessarily mean it's a funeral.
Right, absolutely not.
Okay.
It's a party. It's a celebration.
It can be before and after.
Okay, so she's here having the party.
Yes, so he calls me and he says, I want to have a celebration of life service, and I'm thinking she's passed away.
Yeah.
And he said, I need to set up an appointment for both of us to come in. And so they come in and they sit in my office for like 2 hours. And we all just cry because she had several children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren. and I don't even want to quote numbers because I'm not going to quote it correctly, but I believe she had like 9 children of her own. Then she had 40 grandchildren.
A lot.
40 something great grandchildren. And when they got up and left, I called Janna and I said, Janna, I have an event that I'm going to need you to be at, because like I was a blubbering mess, and I knew Janna could come in and do everything that needed to be done and truly give this wonderful person a celebration of her life. The family was so large they couldn't even have Christmas and Thanksgiving at their houses anymore because there were too many of them.
Yeah.
So she just wanted a big party. That was probably it made you really realize why you do what you do.
Yes.
When they call you 2 years after they've been married and say they need to do a gender reveal or they want to do a baby shower, like that always gets me going. Because even though I have children, and sometimes I'm like,
I don't know.
What was I thinking?
We ain't passing those kids off to me either. Don't even drop her off.
Are you sure?
I'm kidding. Positive.
I even offered to take them to Stephen yesterday. I was like, I'll drop them off at your house. You can train them.
That deters from...
Yeah. He didn't want to be there.
So we digress. Sorry. But kids, gender reveals of kids.
You see them come in and they're pregnant and they don't realize what teenagers do to you as a parent.
Yeah.
It's special.
Right.
It is
They're
special.
not there. Yeah.
Those are probably my favorite.
Yeah.
I think my favorite are baby showers.
Those are fun. So we'll talk a lot in the business area about, like, what do we learn from each other and who influences us the most. So what kind of person has influenced you, or what kind of advice have you gotten that you've like really taken to heart over the years?
I mean, I've had a lot of women that have mentored me because I didn't really have a mother that was present. I mean, she was there, but she was an alcoholic. She was a prescription drug addict. So I had women that stepped up to the plate. And, you know, when you're young, you think it's because they have extra time. Well, now that I'm older, one of them that mentored me, she had 5 kids. She didn't have extra time.
No.
But she taught me lessons and she taught me things so that would work later on in the business ethics of things. You know, to be confident, to be sure in what you believed in and go for it. Go for your dreams. One of my godmoms that I call that to her, because she is like the most amazing person. Her and her husband say, shoot for the stars. You may hit one of them. And I thought, wow, I mean, really aim for something that I think is out of my league, but believe I could do it. So I would think that that's a principle in life and in business, that you just go for it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, falling is way better than thinking one day, I wish I had have tried. I'd rather fall on my face than later say, I just wish.
And you know, I'm guessing that's why it's a good idea to have those celebration of life parties.
Yeah.
Before the day that you can
because
no
all
longer
those
say
little
that.
grandkids took that microphone.
Oh my God, you're gonna break me.
I was in the fetal position under a table, and not because I had hidden a cupcake there. No, that wasn't the reason. They would hand it off to another one. I was like, please stop. Oh, for God's sakes, please stop. I couldn't stand it. But yeah, that's the reason.
So okay, and I'll get to you in a second. I remember my great-grandmother, when she turned 90, she was still living at home by herself, and she loved it, and we had the party. We didn't call it a celebration of life. This was years ago. So she demanded a party. It was the summer. It's my birthday. I want a party. So the kids apparently put it all together, and she had 7. I think I'm going to get this wrong. I think she had 7 kids. 6 were still living.
Wow.
I know. It might be 8. I don't know. I lose count. So because we're not all connected. So she had them, and then of course they had theirs, and then I did not, but that level had more. So it was so funny to me because all of these people are just sprawled out everywhere. Great grandma's, she had ponds in the back, and you know, the house, and then I've still got pictures of her, and this is when all the family stuff came out, because not my family, you don't get along.
Yeah.
So boy, they were bringing it out hot and heavy. And I remember even my own grandmother was, her daughter, so great grandma's daughter, my grandmother was having issues with me, and my mom steps in and great grandma pulls him aside. And she's like, you get my child over here right now. And I was like, she is 90 years old and you get my child over here right now. It's like, oh wow, we're having a...
And they listen.
And they listen.
Yeah.
They listen, they straighten up. But it was funny because I hadn't seen great grandma since, at that time I had gotten married, and I hadn't seen her for, it had been at least almost 2 years. And I was at the end of my marriage term because it wasn't a great one. But during my marriage, I had gained a lot of weight, a lot. We're talking like 85 pounds. And so when my great grandma loved to make blankets, crochet blankets, and I still hate her for this. So she went into the house and she come back out and she handed me one of these blankets, and I know what the blanket means. That means I'm getting ready to have a baby. And I was like, why are you giving me this? She's like, aren't you pregnant? I was like, no, Grandma, I just got fat. It was awful.
Oh my gosh.
I know. So that's how I grew up with those people.
Gotta love brutal honesty.
Brutal honesty.
Gotta love it.
Brutal. So that was her way of saying you need to not be so big. I still have the blanket though. It's like, if you're going to give it to
Consolation
me.
prize, I'm keeping
That's
it.
right.
Yeah.
So yeah, celebrating life ahead of time, it would be super important. So, okay, back to you. So who's influenced you? What kind of advice have you gotten over life?
So I think with my mom, I have a very close relationship with her. Now, I didn't as much growing up. We weren't as close. But since I've grown up and, got my mind right, like I talk to her usually daily, and sometimes even 3 times a day now. And just her constantly telling me that she's proud of me, and I can do it. I'll call her and I'll say, oh my gosh, Mom, you won't believe this. I've got to do this, or I've got to do that. And she's like, you can do it. You can do it. And then she'll get on Facebook and she'll say, I'm so proud of my daughter because, and she'll, put all kinds of stuff out there. But she's proud of me. And then on the business end of things, the owner of River's Edge,
Phenomenal.
is amazing. Nobody on this earth has a better boss than she is. Because I can call her with whatever problem I have, and she may not always have the answer right there, but she will sit there with you and go through it and help you figure it out. It was not in any of our plans to own or manage a wedding venue. It literally fell into our laps. And this business has grown, and I feel like we have the best employees in the wedding industry under our roof. If you go online and you look at our reviews, that will back it up for me.
Absolutely.
I don't have to get on my Facebook page and say, hey, I need people to go write reviews for River's Edge. I don't ask for reviews, ever. I will ask for pictures, and I email my brides usually about 3 months afterwards and say, hey, do you have any pictures yet? I want your pictures. I don't ask for reviews because they give them. And so I think knowing that when we get in on a Monday morning or on a Tuesday morning and we're thinking, oh my gosh, it's raining outside, it's nasty, and you get on your computer and you have a Google review,
A good one?
That's the motivation you need. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We don't,
Crying your eyes
I
out.
don't have any bad ones.
That's awesome.
I'm like, and everybody's like, I will never forget one of the fathers asking me, how do I keep my bad reviews from showing up? And I said, I don't have any bad reviews. And he's like, you don't have any? And I'm like, no.
How do you keep
I'm not Google.
Right.
I can't.
I'm
not Google. Once you put them out there, they're out there.
Right.
I can't make them go away. I think that motivates us more than anything. When we had a bride 2 weeks ago. She wrote like a book.
God, just cried my eyes out. Like, it was just so
like
good.
it was 3 screenshots worth of a review on the phenomenal job that not only Janna did, but
the whole team.
Shock in the Back did. That I mean, it was the whole team, and she outlined every single person and what they did that made her day special.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so that's like just pure motivation. When you see those reviews and you see people checking in at River's Edge and they're posting, I'm having so much fun tonight. That's all the motivation we need.
Yeah.
To keep it going.
So I guess at the end of it, what inspires and motivates and has prompted us to do what we do and helped us in life, I think it's people encouraging each other. You know, bottom line is women that stand up for each other and encourage each other and help them build their business and, you know, perfect their craft. You're a hero. You're a leader when you do that. You know, I should be working somebody under me that's working me out of a job, mentoring that young person and being that encouragement for somebody else that's doing a startup business or wants to become whatever. It's just people being kind and just wanting to help somebody, realizing that you can't overstep me. We're walking beside each other. If we just keep that in perspective, we can help each other. It's just
I did not pay her to say any of that
She
stuff.
did not. Well, she did, but I'm not supposed to say that. Are we still rolling? No, I'm just I'll edit out that later. But that really just is human kindness will inspire. It just will. It will.
It really will. And it's been
Yeah.
amazing through the course of the interviews for this podcast this season, how that has been one of the prevailing themes is really showing up authentically, just being yourself.
Yep.
And treating others with kindness.
Yes.
You know, having that touch of
It's
empathy.
a choice.
It is a choice.
Yeah, people that say I couldn't help it, you could. You could have helped it, but you chose a different route. You can choose kindness even if it's fake. It'll become real because it's a habit that you make yourself do over and over and over. I'll use this example. When I got married, I didn't see kindness in my mom and dad's marriage. I didn't see any of that, but when I got married, I wanted to be kind. And I wanted to call my husband sweet names. I didn't want to call him Bob. I wanted to call him a sweet name, but when I would say a sweet name, it felt like vomit in my mouth. It did. And everybody knows what that feels like. And I would
But
say,
he likes
honey,
it,
I would
though.
go, honey. But it was a struggle because it wasn't natural. I had not heard it. So what is not natural feels very unnatural to us. But over the course of the years, I bet you I haven't called his name, you know, a dozen times. I call him my big guy. So I call him Big Guy. That's his name. That's on my phone. That's what it's programmed.
Aww.
And that's just my name for him. But so we have to repeatedly do something that feels against what we want to do to create something that becomes who we want to be. And that's life. That's what we do.
Again, I didn't pay her to say that.
Well, she did give me a credit to something. What was it, a book?
Oh, yeah. The Being Superbook.
That's right. That's what it was. And I've got a Starbucks coffee under here. She got I'm not kidding. Yes, I am.
And if you couldn't tell, we do have fun with these podcasts.
Yeah.
That's why I usually say, like, we try to empower, educate, but we entertain a little while we're at it. Okay, so one last question for you ladies. Separately, answer. You ready for this? Actually, we got two more. We got two more questions and then one thing to do.
Because I want to be able to think a little bit.
What does success look like for you guys?
I think I'm in it. I think when you look at the people that surround you at home, at work, with your children, and you step back for a minute, and we had lots of times to step back during COVID because there was nothing to do. And you step back and you realize that even though you're shut down for now, you know that next year is going to be so much better. And you know that all of those people that went through this with you are still there. When you have customers call to check on you because they can only imagine what your job has been like, I think you're in success. I don't think you can get much better than this.
Janna?
For me, success as a person, for me, as Janna Holland, is that I am the person here that I am at home, that I am in business. And when I walk out that door, for my business side of it, when I walk out that door at the end of one of my weddings, and everybody has smiled, and I've worked super hard to make everybody that walked through that door feel important, not just the bride and groom, that's success in my business, because I was able to be the person I want to be. So that's success.
All right, now a final piece. What advice would you give other people out there?
Buy really good shoes.
Buy really good shoes. I honestly, I do agree with that.
Because after you have, and it only takes one wedding. It only takes one. Once you work one wedding and you go home, you will realize you needed better shoes. That's all you need. I think it's listening, really. I think it's listening. Listen to your customers. Listen to potential customers. Listen to, even with us, I listen to and I try to stay up to date with what other venues are doing. And not to compare yourself, because River's Edge is not the same as any other venue in Louisville, just like they are not the same as we are. And knowing that there's a difference, and you don't have to be like somebody else. But just listen. Listen to what, when brides come in and they're like, oh, back in 2012 when we were really new at this, and they would say, oh, I wish you all had, I'll put that on my vision board. That'll come in useful later. And just listen to what your customers and your clients want and need from you. And sometimes they don't even know how to tell you. They'll call you and say, I don't know what I'm going to do. And I'll say, what can I help you with? Well, it's nothing you can help me with. Try me. And they'll go into a long spiel of what's going on in their personal life that has nothing to do with their wedding.
Right. But it's affecting the wedding.
But it's affecting them being able to move forward with planning. And sometimes when you can bounce off ideas with them, then they say, oh, it's all going to work out. Yeah, we got this. I say that all the time. We got this. We got this.
We got this. I want to hear. So Janna, what you got?
What I would say to another small business person is throw your pride down. Be ready to reinvent yourself. We almost had a Biden moment just then. Almost.
Look, it's been swirling around here and I haven't said a word.
It's all the product that's distracted.
We have a fly in the room. For those of you who don't see the video, we have a fly that's been really messing with us.
Be ready to reinvent yourself at the drop of a hat. Don't be afraid to. Add an element in that you swore you would never add in. And just always be moving toward the next idea, even if you don't know what it is. Just roll.
Just roll with it.
Just roll.
Awesome. Well, ladies, I want to thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much.
We're going to get ready to go on the tour. So again, I'll show you pictures. If you're watching the video, you've seen some pictures rolling. If you're not watching the video, you need to. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, ladies, Janna.
Absolutely.
And Megan. I almost called you Michelle. I don't even know why. Don't even know why. So Megan, thank you. And I'll see you again. Actually, I won't be at Coffee Chat tomorrow, but I know. So we'll see you again. I can't wait to get to know you more.
Absolutely.
This has been fantastic.
Yeah, thank you.
I always love these things. And again, on location at River's Edge in Shepherdsville, Kentucky, just outside of Louisville. It's very easy to get here. Very great venue. I can't wait to see all of it. And thank you guys so much for your time for Small Business Small Talk at this episode of podcast for season 2 of 2020. These ladies have been a great example of how to do things differently to overcome all the restrictions and still grow the business. So hopefully everybody's listened all the way to the end, because I want to also give one last shout out to our sponsor partner, which is the Chamber of St. Matthews, of which we're all a part.
Yes.
Because we're smart business people. Go be a part of your chamber or be a part of ours. And with that, remember, subscribe to your favorite channel to listen or watch the podcast, either the Facebook page or the YouTube channel, or go to Anchor FM. Actually, just go to smallbusinesssmalltalk.com and you can find all of the avenues there. So with that, I've been your host, Christy Smallwood with Small Business Small Talk, and we'll talk again later. Thanks, guys.